The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Shepherds went with haste to Bethlehem and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told them. After 8 days had passed, it was time to circumcise the child, and he was called Jesus, the name given by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. The Gospel of the Lord. I'm sure that many of us are thinking about our New Year's resolution, like maybe exercising more often, eating healthier, taking a course online and learning something new, improving your prayer life, or improving a relationship with someone you love. After being at the Atlas Tube yesterday skating, I think I need to get back in shape, feeling it this morning. But this past year might have been quite the challenge for some of you, and could need a great deal of healing that a new start might offer. But with any new start, we know that we need to begin with a plan, right? Chart out which steps to take to make sure that we follow through with our resolution. To ask, what didn't work when I tried this in a previous year? We breathe a sigh of relief every January 1st, knowing that we have a new beginning to start again. The Feast of Mary, Mother of God, is celebrated on an appropriate day of the year because it too reminds us of a new beginning for all of humanity. When reading the New Testament, we can find many examples of the old becoming new. When Noah and his family journeyed through water to be saved from disaster, and when the Israelites walked through the parted waters on their way to the Promised Land, this foreshadowed the waters of baptism, our entry into salvation as Christians. The 12 tribes of Israel in the Old Testament foreshadowed the 12 apostles in the New Testament. The gift of manna in the desert to the hungry Israelites, and the offering of bread and wine by the high priest Melchizedek foreshadowed the Eucharist. And Jesus himself referred to Jonah, Solomon, and the temple in Jerusalem as signs that foreshadowed his entry into the world in the fullness of time, when the time was right. In the same way, Mary was foreshadowed in the Old Testament. In Sarah, the wife of Abraham, who miraculously conceived the child Isaac, like how Mary miraculously conceived Jesus. And the queen mother of Jewish royalty, who was known to be a mediator with the king on behalf of the people, like how Mary does for us with the Father, using her heavenly queenship to bring our prayers and petitions to him. In the Ark of the Covenant, that would carry the manna, the 10 Commandments, and the staff of Aaron, just as Mary would carry Jesus in her womb, the new high priest, the new covenant, and bread from heaven. But we can go even further, back to find a great foreshadowing of Mary, to Eve, the first woman, virgin in the Garden of Eden, the mother of humanity, and beloved by God. While that love from God always remained, the decision of Adam and Eve to disobey God, it brought an era of sin, a rift between us and heaven. And something drastic was needed to renew our relationship with God. This would need to begin with a radical decision to say yes. In his letter to the Galatians, St. Paul says, when the fullness of time had come, God sent his Son, born of a woman. At the beginning of all things, God planned for the perfect moment when his Son would be made flesh, God himself becoming a human child in the womb of a young virgin from Nazareth. Like we heard during Advent, Mary freely says yes to God's plan for our salvation. Here am I, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word. St. Irenaeus, one of the great teachers in early Christianity, said of Mary, "The knot of Eve's disobedience was loosed by the obedience of Mary. The knot which the Virgin Eve tied by her unbelief, the Virgin Mary opened by her belief." And he goes on to say, if Eve disobeyed God, Mary was persuaded to obey God, so that the Virgin Mary became the advocate of the Virgin Eve. And thus, as the human race fell into bondage to death by means of a virgin, so it is rescued by a virgin. By obediently accepting her role as the Mother of God, God works through Mary to offer a new beginning for humanity after our fall into sin after the events in the Garden of Eden. In our first reading from the book of Numbers, God tells the children of Israel that they will be blessed, and he will put his name on them. St. Paul explains this further. By placing his name on us, his children through baptism, God the Father has adopted us, making us his sons and daughters. In God's very being, as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, he's a relationship, a family, and we are drawn into that family. As a loving parent, God shares all that he has with us, his divine life, his home, his Son, and his mother, Mary. Like Jesus said on the cross to the beloved disciple, "Woman, here is your son. Son, here is your mother." As Christians, we believe that Mary is the Mother of God, and through our adoption, she is our mother. While she is the Mother of God, we don't worship Mary as Catholics. We can look to the statue of Mary to better understand this. She's usually portrayed holding the Christ child, bearing him to the world. Often you'll see images of her pointing to him while looking out to us, her other children. Her goal as the Mother of God is to draw us closer to her Son, just like she did with the shepherds who were invited to the stable. So as we begin our new year and look to new beginnings and new resolutions, let's give thanks to our God, who mercifully and generously offers us a new start whenever we ask, welcoming us into his family and offering us his mother to journey with us. Imagine that. We have all made it through some difficult times in the last few years, unlike anything most of us have ever experienced. But as God's church, we are a people built on new beginnings, a people built on hope. So continue praying without ceasing, and may the Lord be with us in this new year.